I'm looking at a service advisory that was circulated quietly among independent repair shops about 3 years ago. It outlines the single most common reason customers come in complaining of a dead battery, and the fix described in that document costs nothing. $0. The part that's interesting is what it says next, that in a significant portion of those cases, the battery itself is perfectly fine. What failed wasn't the battery. What failed was the connection to it. That's what this is about. Not a scam, not a miracle. A real documented pattern that mechanics see every single week. And one that most car owners never hear about because there's no money in telling you. Think about the last time your car wouldn't start. That sick feeling when you turn the key and get either silence or a weak grinding crank that sounds like it's working against wet concrete. Your first instinct is probably the battery. Your second instinct is probably to call a shop. And that's understandable. But before you spend $100 on a replacement, there's something you should check first. Something you can do yourself in about 3 minutes with materials that are almost certainly already in your kitchen. Now listen, this isn't magic. If your battery is genuinely dead, if it's swollen, if it's more than 5 years old and failing load tests, if the case is cracked, replace it. That advice from the manufacturer is sound, and you should follow it. Battery chemistry degrades over time, and no amount of cleaning is going to reverse that. But here's what the data suggests. A large percentage of what gets diagnosed as battery failure is actually terminal corrosion, or a loose connection starving the battery of the ability to deliver current. The battery has the juice, it just can't get it out. Pay attention to this, because it's the part most people skip over. Lead-acid batteries, which is what most conventional cars still use, produce hydrogen gas as a byproduct of charging. That gas vents through tiny ports in the battery casing, and when it meets the copper or lead alloy in your terminal connections, it reacts. Over time, that reaction produces a white or blue-green powder that you can see building up around the terminals. That powder is lead sulfate and copper sulfate. Think of it like arterial plaque. Your battery is trying to push current through a connection that's slowly being choked off. The thicker that buildup gets, the harder it is for electricity to flow, until one cold morning, when the battery has to work even harder just to spin a cold engine, there simply isn't enough clean conductivity left to get the job done. That tin can clicking sound you hear when a car won't start? That's often not a dead battery. It's a battery that can't deliver current fast enough because the terminal connection is compromised. The starter solenoid is clicking, trying to engage, getting just enough power to attempt a cycle but not enough to complete one. Many people hear that sound and assume the worst. The battery gets condemned and replaced. The old one, which may have had years of life left, goes in the recycling bin. Here's where it gets interesting. Baking soda neutralizes acid. That's basic chemistry from 9th grade. When you mix baking soda with a small amount of water, just enough to make a paste or a thin slurry, and apply it to a corroded battery terminal, it fizzes. That fizz is the alkaline baking soda, reacting with the acidic sulfate buildup. You're watching the corrosion break down in real time. A stiff wire, brush, an old toothbrush, or even a rolled up piece of aluminum foil used as a gentle abrasive will clear the residue away. Rinse with clean water, dry thoroughly, and what you're left with is clean metal making full contact again. The result in many cases is a car that starts like new. But before you do any of this, and this matters, protect yourself. Wear gloves, nitrile or rubber, whatever you have. Battery acid is sulfuric acid, and even in trace amounts it can irritate skin and eyes. Safety glasses are worth the 30 seconds it takes to find them. Work in a ventilated area, not a closed garage. And critically, disconnect the negative terminal first, always the negative first, before you touch anything else. That black cable with the minus sign goes first when disconnecting, and it goes last when reconnecting. This is not optional. It's the sequence that prevents accidental short circuits. If you notice that your battery casing is bulging, warped, or that the plastic looks distorted in any way, stop. Don't attempt to clean or service that battery. A swollen battery is a sign of internal damage, often from overcharging or heat exposure, and it can be hazardous. That one goes straight to a recycling center or a shop for safe disposal. Same guidance applies if you smell something sharp and sulfuric, like rotten eggs, coming from the battery compartment. That's a gas vent issue and it needs professional attention. Most of the time, though, what you'll find is manageable corrosion on otherwise sound hardware. Let that sink in for a second, because this also applies to the cable ends themselves. It's not enough to clean the top of the terminal post if the cable clamp that grips it is corroded on the inside. Loosen the clamp, slide it off the post, and inspect the inner surface. You're looking for the same white or greenish powder and the same treatment applies. While you're there, check how tight the clamp is when reconnected. You should not be able to wiggle it by hand. A loose connection at the terminal can cause the exact same no-start symptoms as a dead battery. Intermittent starts, slow cranking, the electronics flickering when you turn the key. Tighten the bolt or nut on the clamp until it's snug, not stripped. This brings up something the service advisory touched on that most people don't consider: the ground connection. Your battery has two cables, positive and negative. The negative cable runs from the battery to the vehicle's chassis, creating what's called the ground path. Every electrical system in the car depends on that ground to complete its circuit. If the point where the negative cable meets the chassis has corrosion, paint buildup, or even a loose bolt, your electrical system starts behaving erratically. Warning lights flicker, the radio resets. The car cranks slowly even with a fully charged battery. People spend hours chasing electrical gremlins that turn out to be a single corroded ground connection point. This next part is going to make you go look at your own car this week. Find where your negative battery cable bolts to the chassis. Usually somewhere on the firewall or the body near the battery. Follow the cable to where it terminates at a bolt going into bare metal. If there's corrosion around that bolt, or if the connection has never been touched in the life of the vehicle, it's worth loosening that bolt, cleaning both the cable lug and the metal surface underneath it with fine sandpaper or a wire brush, and reinstating that connection to bare, clean metal. Tighten it back properly, and you may be surprised at how different the car feels. Tighter cold starts, more responsive electronics, occasionally even better idle quality. Now, there's another layer to this that the document referenced, and it's worth understanding even if you never end up needing to act on it. Parasitic drain. A parasitic drain is exactly what it sounds like. Something in your vehicle is drawing power from the battery when the car is supposed to be off. Modern vehicles have dozens of modules that stay partially active. The alarm system, the keyless entry receiver, the telematics module, the clock. Under normal circumstances, these draw a tiny, acceptable amount of current, typically less than 50 milliamps in total. But if a module gets stuck on, or if an aftermarket accessory was wired incorrectly, that draw can climb. Leave a car sitting for a week with a 50 milliamp parasitic drain, and you'll likely still start it fine. Leave it sitting with a 300 milliamp drain, and you may come back to a battery that can't start the engine. If you clean your terminals, tighten your connections, and the battery still dies when the car sits for more than a few days, that's your next investigative step. A basic multimeter set to DC amps placed in series with the negative cable can tell you exactly what your car is drawing with everything off. Most auto parts stores will also loan you the equipment or run this test for free. If your reading is over 75 milliamps and creeping higher, something is staying awake that shouldn't be. Understanding whether you have a terminal problem, a connection problem, or a parasitic drain problem changes everything about how you respond to it. The battery industry's standard guidance, replace it 5 years, or when a load test shows degraded capacity, is genuinely reasonable. Battery chemistry does have a lifespan, and a battery that's failing under load is a legitimate safety and reliability concern. No argument there. The distinction being made here isn't that replacement is wrong, it's that replacement should come after the simple stuff has been ruled out, not before. If your battery is 3 years old, if it's never had a load test, if you've never cleaned those terminals since you bought the car, and if the car won't start on a cold morning, the odds are reasonable that a 15-minute cleaning job will solve it. If the battery is 6 years old, if it's been deep cycled repeatedly from parasitic drain, and if it's showing poor capacity on a proper load test, replace it. Those are two genuinely different situations that should lead to two different decisions. Here's the physical action to take this week, regardless of whether your car is starting fine right now. Pop your hood and look at your battery terminals. If you see any white, gray, or bluish-green powder around the terminal posts or cable clamps, your connections need attention. You don't have to wait until the car won't start. Mix a tablespoon of baking soda into about half a cup of water. Pour it carefully over the terminals with the car off. Watch it fizz, then scrub with an old brush and rinse. Dry everything well. Reconnect the cables, positive first, then negative, and make sure both are tight enough that they don't move when pushed. If you want extra protection, a thin coat of dielectric grease or petroleum jelly on the terminal posts after cleaning can slow the reformation of corrosion significantly. If you find the terminals completely clean and the car is still giving you trouble, then check the ground connection point on the chassis. If that's clean too and problems persist, a parasitic drain test is the next logical step before assuming the battery itself is the problem. The reason this particular piece of information stays under the radar isn't some elaborate conspiracy. It's simpler than that. There's no margin in a free fix. A shop that walks a customer through a 5-minute terminal cleaning and sends them home without charging anything is a shop that made no revenue on that visit. The economics of the industry push toward replacement, not diagnosis of the obvious. That's not malice. It's just how service businesses function under time pressure. Knowing this doesn't make you a skeptic. It makes you a more informed customer who can ask the right question before the bill gets written. Most of what frustrates people about car ownership isn't the big, catastrophic failures. It's the small, nagging things that feel mysterious and expensive. The car that sometimes won't start. The battery that seems to die. Every winter, the electrical weirdness that nobody can quite pin down. A lot of those stories trace back to something as basic as clean, tight connections. It costs nothing to check. It takes almost no time. And the difference between a corroded terminal and a clean one is sometimes the difference between a car that starts and one that doesn't. If this helped you avoid an unnecessary replacement, or if it helped you finally understand why your car has been giving you trouble, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive. There's more coming on electrical system diagnostics, including how to actually use a multimeter to trace a parasitic drain yourself, step by step. That one will save you the cost of a diagnostic fee and give you the kind of hands-on understanding of your own vehicle that most people never bother to develop. See you there.